Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video and we are finally back in action after a very quiet spell, after so many transfer stuff happening so quickly to then a week of nothing, and all we have done is drive ourselves crazy. People sinking deeper and deeper into our own madness, panicking and worrying despite the fact that the Windies just home. That Disney man, we've been panicking and worrying what's actually next, people. Well, as we go ahead and venture into a brand new week, it's time to venture into another brand new Rangers rumour, as me and thee are here to sit and discuss another attacker, people, who just may be holding up a Rangers shirt very soon and sitting there smiling with the obligatory signing photo that's a bit like this. Now, as always, just a friendly wee reminder in case you do enjoy the channel, we're trying to reach 60,000 subscribers, so if you could help us out, that'd be absolutely sensational by either subscribing to the channel or hitting that like button. Both would be lovely, people, but if you want to wait to see whether or not this video is worth either of those things, let's go ahead and try to earn that like or subscription then, shall we, as we move ahead and discuss a player who I think we'll be excited about, but when we start to discuss the transfer dealings, it might get a little bit prickly in the old comment section, as I think we'll all have something to say regarding this transfer deal. But aye, let's start the way we always start, people. Whether or not we believe this rumour to be true, whether or not there is going to be a sticky situation regarding the deals bringing him to this football club, let's put that on the table to one side and see if all this should actually be happening. Abdallah Sima is a 22-year-old Senegalese internationalist, and yes, I am very nervous about how I've just pronounced that name, people. I don't know if it's right. I've tried my absolute best. Back with the actual video. Sima is a 22-year-old Senegalese internationalist who stands at 6'2", bringing more height and aerial threat to the squad, and that might be something you hear, especially the aerial threat part, and you start to go, but he's a right winger, CJ. I've seen these clips, I've seen people talk about how skillful he is, I've seen this, I get all that, people, and yes, on paper he is a right winger. You start to build what you think he is in his mind, quick, can beat people, yes he can do all that, ladies and gentlemen. But for me, one of the things that really stands out about this lad is just how dominating in this air this guy actually is, because he's not exactly the biggest bulk player, you know what I mean? He's not like built like me. Laughing that hard really necessary? It's a bit disrespectful, but we'll continue, people. He's not exactly the biggest built player. He is obviously on the thinner side, but he puts himself about, especially with balls coming into the air, and I think you'd be very surprised that just by looking at his stats on paper how many headers he's scored in his career, because again, you see right winger, you start building up your own expectations. This guy is a real threat in the air just as much as he is on the ground, especially when he's able to flow and go in any of the top three attacking positions in the actual squad. Right wing, where again he's played the majority of his career, left wing where he's played in his career, but also as a false nine / centre forward, that if you stick with today's video you'll hear a hell of a lot more about, because it gets interesting when you start to look at these parts, because yes, you could be lazy and call him a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none, but it is a little bit disrespectful considering his level and what he's been able to show in his career. He can hurt teams all over in so many different positions with so many different aspects of his game. He can be a real game changer when the big man wants to be. And this won't make any sense till we actually see him if he does pull on the Rangers shirt, kicking the football boot, but he's got such a coolness in front of goal that he never really seems to rash or snatch at chances or anything. He's got this kind of coolness where he just seems to hit the ball, and he strikes the ball so weirdly, you're thinking to yourself, how's that went in? But obviously it works for the big man and it ends up into the old back of net. But that's kind of talking around the player, right? He's skillful, he can beat people, he relishes the aerial threat, and he'll add something desperately needed to the Rangers team, and that has been attacking threat, whether it is down the right or even a bit more height if he's playing elsewhere. And I want to talk about the old stats and numbers now, because we're going to translate away from just what he brings on the surface, because let's see if he's got some substance, because that's where everybody judges these potential signings on. This is where people start losing their minds or start getting excited. So let's do what we always do, start with the most recent season of football, where the big man Sima joined Angers on loan in the top flight of French football. And Aye, they finished rock bottom and got relegated, ladies and gentlemen, which if you're paying attention, that is yet another player Rangers have been linked with this season. It's been relegated in their most recent season. However, that's a bit lazy to just say that, people, because I think you start to look into it. Yes, he played 37 games in all competitions for Angers with 6 goals and 2 assists, which is obviously 8 goal contributions in those 37, which isn't it great? You hear bottom of the league, you start worrying and panicking and stuff like that, but again, you start to go to look a wee bit more into the circumstances. One, it was a team playing horribly that looked like the worst team in the actual league. No exactly flourishing and being on the ball a lot and free-flowing attacking football, which this guy is actually pretty used to. Can really hurt teams when he's given that option. But also, yes, he's played 37 times for them that season, but you know he was only in the starting 11 50% of the actual time and only played 54% of the minutes available for a relegated side that was playing so poorly. So I think if you look at his stats that way, he's one of the few that when he was actually able to get on the park and was given an opportunity to play, was one that could have walked off the park holding his head high. Now the counter argument could be, well, why is he not playing more for a relegated side, CJ? Should be playing a hell of a more. Shouldn't he be on 50% at the start? And that's a fair counter argument, people. The only thing that I can find from reading in and doing so much Google Translate from the fans and what they're thinking is they had just went down a certain rigid way. They brought him in, they thought he'd be this, they thought he'd be doing a lot better. Once they started realising how bad they were going to be that season, it just started to be an absolute mess of a football club, and that's something we can understand right here on the old channel. So I won't judge him too much on his most recent season. However, I do want to talk about his season before, because I feel like this is something we need to be transparent about, because the season before he spent some time obviously at his parent club at that time, which was Slavia, and then moved on loan Stoke, which, by the way, if you're paying attention, that's yet another player that's been on loan at Stoke that's joined this football club. Connections are all over the place right now, ladies and gentlemen, but in the season before he played just 10 games in all competitions, grabbing just 1 assist. Now that 1 assist was in the Champions League qualifier, so we can forgive him for that. But why did he play just 10 games the season before? Well, to put it bluntly, it was an injury-ridden season by all Rangers standards, people. He missed 25 games due to a groin issue. He missed 5 games due to a back injury, and he missed 6 further games that season due to an ankle issue and a problem that kept flaring up that season. So I have to bring that to you. The only thing I would say is you look at how he responded the season later, playing 37 games in all competitions. So it's not as if he's actually had injuries throughout his career and it's followed him. He had 1 bad year where it just seemed to no click and seemed to no work, but he seemingly has put that behind him. So fingers crossed that continues when he comes up the road. But also, we've actually got someone in the medical department now at Rangers that knows what they're doing. So I'm quietly confident, touch wood, we will be injury-free-ish this season. And the seasons before he shined and showed why Brighton paid the money actually for him. And I've been kind of talking around this, people. Of course, he did play for Slavia, and we won't hold that against him. We only hold one idiot, stupid, irresponsible, disgusting decision on a football park, then hold it against everyone else that actually played on the day. The laddie is a very, very talented football player. He performed very well for them and ended up getting his move away. And if you actually look at his time for Slavia, 39 games during that run with 23 goals contributions to his name. It was great, and it's why he earned such a move, and it's not quite worked out since he's went to Brighton. And to be fair, can we just be honest? Can we blame him for that? Brighton is playing unbelievable this season, and the season before, actually, if we're being honest. If you look at them over, they're just going up and up and up and up, so you can't really blame them for not breaking into that such tight-knitted unit that performs and plays pretty much the same players every single week, and no wonder when you look at the results. But we also mentioned he's obviously an international. He's playing 4 times in total for Senegal, which is very, very impressive at such a young age, and he's expected to really kick on and be one of the mainstays and be a guy in that team playing alongside the likes of the Manes. Now, I'm not saying he's Mane or he's ever going to be Mane, but you know how Mane plays in the wing but can play centre, can play at the other side. He done it for Liverpool. Well, there is some similarities there, and if you look at them and how they started their early career and playing in certain positions, it's nearly carbon copy. Now, I'd love Mane to come to the City Club, but we're not getting that level a player. But Sima has obviously got something to his game, and it's very reminiscent of a Mane-esque style player. But of course, the young lad is just 22 years old, so it feels a bit harsh to do this, but as always we do it. Let's take a step back and look at his entire footballing CV at the club level. There's no reserve league, youth league, none of that nonsense that doesn't tell us about the players we're actually linked with. Let's look at the top flight of football. What's he done already in his young career at just 22? Well, he has an impressive 86 games with 26 goals to his name and 11 assists, which is of course 37 goal contributions in 86 games, people. That there is a goal and an assist every 2.3, I think, people, if my math is correct, which is hell of impressive considering the amount of minutes he's actually played during those runs. There's definitely a player on there, and when you get him on the park and when he's able to play on the park and when he's given an opportunity to start games, he impacts them, and that's what's shown in his young career. But as we move away from the football and TV, let's start talking about the positions this guy plays, the competition for places. If he comes up the road, what is he? What's he going to be? For us, well, again, primarily is a right winger. That's where he spent the majority of his career, and that's definitely a position we have need strength in. He can cut in, he can combine. Again, he drifts naturally. It's one of the most common themes under Michael Beale so far since coming back as the gaffer. But even when he was in there the first time helping to build that team with Steven Gerrard, what did he want to bring in? What did we bring in? Players that can attack and be flexible and move as one, and he's definitely fits that mould, and he can play right across the line. But again, he's played 38 times of those 86 games as a right winger, but surprisingly he has played 29 of those 86 games as a false 9/centre forward. Again, he's got the height for it. The physicality might be the only thing in terms of the way Scottish football, because I feel like there are going to be rough and tumble with him. He's not really good at that. He's good at the air. He throws himself a poo in the business, but when you're paying the hammer throwers, part the bus, would I put him as an out and out number 9? No, really. But in behind there, creating, being, son, absolutely, this man can certainly do that. And as we're not obviously making Tillman permanent, as Bayern Munich bought themselves out of that actual contract option, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way, but that's what happens when you've got Müller and you're a top club. You get away with anything. Could he bring a similar level of impact in front of goal and creativity as the likes of Tillman? Right, centre, control, bring in, do things? Absolutely, people, and it's definitely one you look at and say, right, I can see what we're going here. Tillman, isn't he coming up the road now? But this lad, he certainly has an upside just as similar to Tillman. No saying he's going to be as good as him. I really liked Malik Tillman. It breaks my heart that we're not bringing him back. But this guy can definitely impact and play in the same positions we had Tillman doing last season. But that leads me to my last point in the actual video, because what type of transfer is this going to be? Is it going to be a permanent one? No, ladies and gentlemen. It's heavily rumoured if he is coming up the road, he will be joining on loan, similar to Tillman. The Tillman replacement, if you will. And my fear and my worry, ladies and gentlemen, is we spend another season developing yet another club's player right to the level where they are, and then that club takes them back and punts them for a hell of a lot of money. It's our hard work, but we're getting very little, if anything, actually out of it. Now, to be fair, he could come here and help us win league titles and cups and everything. That would be sensational, and that would be in itself. But forward thinking and everything like that, I would like to see a wee bit of sucking in this actual loan and hope the club actually sticks at it, as in Bayern Munich dating themselves out of the Malik Tillman one. I hope there is something, a potential buy included in the actual loan, but that's just how I feel. It's just a little bit of a worry. We're going to keep bringing in Larrys and develop them and giving them back to the clubs for them to make money, and that leaves us where? People. That's the only thing I think it could be quite prickly down in the comment section below. If the big man is coming up the road, it's apparently a loan. So how do you feel about that? For me, he's a tremendous talent, a guy that spoke so highly of. He burst onto the scene. He's not really done anything wrong. He's not really dipped by any stretch of the imagination. I know there's a lot of jokes and people saying, it's another Beale case where he thinks he can fix him and get him back. I wouldn't say he's been playing that badly. Yes, his team played badly at Angers, but if you actually look at how he played and how he performed when he was on the park, he's playing pretty well. But again, we could be trying to get him back to what he was at Slavia. That would be a fair argument, but it's not really one of those career turnarounds that I think this lad is actually in. He's young, He's playing well. He just needs a team that gets on the ball and plays to his strength. And yes, on paper, that can certainly be Rangers, because what he can do when he's barely touching the ball, the likes of French football, etc., is impressive. When he comes up the road to us and he's in a team that's going to dominate possession, throw crosses into the box, this guy could be very, very effective and win us a hell of a lot of games if he does come up the road. And to wrap up the actual video, do I think this man will be holding a Rangers shirt very, very soon? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. What about you? How do you feel about your boy Sima? Are you excited? Are you happy? Are you mad? Are you glad? Or are you sad? Let me know how you feel about the loan thing as well, if you're still watching, just to see where your mind's at. But until that, ladies and gentlemen, until there is some more real news to actually talk about, we will discuss it right here on the channel. But until next time, I've been CJ Over 92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.